This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app and visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and legal in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. And we're also brought to you by the SGPN NFL Playoff Challenge, sponsored by Edge Boost. Free to enter and $20,000 in Edge Boost deposit bonuses up for grab. Enter today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NFL playoff. All right, D-Gens, welcome back to the Golf Gambling Podcast for our Sunday preview. Kind of doing this on a whim. I had a little bit of time because the game got canceled between the Steelers and Bills. So I decided, you know what, why don't I just record right now? Boston Capper may join me in a little bit. Apparently he is out running errands with the little ones. So right now it's just me, boring old me, going over the golf courses for next week's American Express. This is a format that can be kind of challenging just because it's a multi-course rotation. Each course is a little different than the last, but there's a lot of similarities between all of them that I'll go over. And, it's always kind of tough, especially when two of the courses don't have strokes gained data. It makes it kind of a little difficult to, figure out what to do, how they play, but I'll walk you through a little bit of what they are. I'll pull up the Google Maps. I'll show you what they look like. Maybe that'll give you a little bit more inspiration about what you want to look at. But, so why don't we first start off with the field next week? Scotty Scheffler is in the field. He's played this tournament a bunch of times. I think he finished third, I want to say back in 2020 in his rookie season, to Andrew Landry and Abe Answer, I think. And, this is a really good tournament for him. There's a lot of opportunities to score, a lot of opportunities to make birdies, and, kind of like at Kapalua a couple weeks ago, if you just give yourself a lot of opportunities to score, it comes down with the putter. That's always what happens with Scotty Scheffler. But, he has a pretty good track record here. We'll see if maybe he can continue it. But, we get another guy who's in the field this week. That we had a couple guys returning at Sony. Will Zalatoris come back from an injury. You had Gary Woodland come back for the brain tour. We have another guy coming back who is a big name you haven't heard for a while. Daniel Berger is going to be back this week. He is back from a back injury that has kept him out for the entire 2023 season. I think he was trying to make a comeback at last year's U.S. Open through qualifying to not get through, I think because he got injured. I remember when I was at the Masters a couple of years ago, humble brag a little bit, but I was randomly following, I think, Taylor Gooch and Daniel Berger. And Berger was splashing out of a bunker out of 10, and he just collapsed right in the bunker. And I was like, what the hell is going on? That's kind of weird. And then a little later on, it was really cold. It wasn't great weather, but there was a little bit of a delay in play. And Berger, I could see him down the fairway, just crouching and stretching, trying to do something. And I speculated at the point he must be hurt. I mean, he was playing like hell at that point. And sure enough, a couple of months later, he said he was battling a back injury, ends up shutting it down at the end of the year, gets surgery, and then we didn't see him at all last year. So, it's good to have him back. He's a very talented player. He's not one of the elite guys, but, he's definitely is a threat to win. If he was in 100% condition, he probably would be a threat to win this thing because he makes a lot of birdies and generally pretty good iron player. That's pretty valuable here, but he's in the field. Welcome back. Hopefully he can return to form quickly. And some other guys who other nobles in the field: Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau, Ricky Fowler, Tom Kim, Xander Schauffele. Justin Thomas makes his first start of the 24 season. And Will Zalatoris, he's technically still a notable, even though he was terrible last week at Sony. He's still a big name. It's actually a pretty good field. I think guys are trying to get maybe one start in between Kapalua and the next time there's a signature event, which is at Pebble Beach. It's very top heavy. It's kind of like last year. There's probably like 10 to 15 really good names. And then it's kind of just drops off after that. Same thing as last year. So, last year we ended up getting John Rahm as a winner. Are we going to get another guy with short odds because they're just such a small pool of elite guys who are playing this week against kind of Drek? We'll see. So why don't we take our first ad break, and then we will go into all the golf courses. All right. So let's first start with DraftKings. DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, and they're bringing you an offer to help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game to get 200 instantly in bonus bets. Obviously you can bet the football games, but right now you technically can bet the Sony Open lines today. I think Keegan Bradley, who myself and Boston Capper are on, he's at plus 190 going off. If you want to, do that. We don't think he's going to win, but we'll see. You also get to have Chris Kirk at 12-1, maybe going for another second win, and really cash one in for all the narrative people out there. So call to action. So download the sports game or DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code SGP. New customers can bet just $5 to get 200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York. And in Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-777. Visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. And we're brought to you by the Game Time app. So let's say you were going to go to the Bills-Steelers game today. Can't go. Maybe either you can't get into the city or you're just so butthurt about our liberal governor, putting a thumb in your eye because she's a Bills fan and preventing you from watching football. Maybe that's enough for you to just rage quit on life and just sell your ticket. But you know what? You can go to Game Time right now. So as you're driving in 2 inches of snow and, holding up everybody behind you because you don't really know what snow is like, you can go to gametime.co right now and sell your ticket and show the NFL who's boss. And Game Time is the place for last minute ticket deals. So forget planning months in advance. Game Time is deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. And if you find your tickets in the same section or row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And it's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for all those reasons. And also you can get images of your seat before you buy. So, let's say you do want to go to the game tomorrow. Maybe you can fire it up and you can see a bunch of snow on your seat and decide, I'm going to go a couple of seats, over that's been shoveled properly. So snag your tickets without stress with Game Time. It's perfect for the playoffs if you want to go. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You can tell I didn't get in fights with people about that yesterday, right? Okay. Why don't we fire up Google Earth, shall we? And let's actually look at some of these golf courses. Let's get over here. Let's zoom out. Okay. So we are going to PGA West this week for the American Express. This is a 3-course rotation. You will have 2 rounds at the stadium course of PGA West. Everybody will play that at least once over Thursday through Sunday, with everybody playing on Sunday. And then the other 2 rounds are going to play the Nicklaus Tournament course, which also is at PGA West. And then over at La Quinta Country Club, they're also going to play 1 round there. That is a couple miles away to the northeast. But this is the stadium course here. It was built in 1986 by Pete Dye, and it was meant to be a sequel to TPC Sawgrass. And I'll show you a couple holes where you can actually see, a lot of the similarities between that golf course and this one. But it played and it was debuted in 1987 at the Bob Hope Classic, which is what this tournament used to be called. But the pros considered way too tough and unfair, so they got away from it. Well, over the years, though, they ended up softening it a little bit, making some changes, make it a little more playable. And now we have the golf course we have here today. So, just kind of looking at it from a high level, you can see a lot of Pete Dye just in the layout here. Serpentine fairways, kind of bottlenecking fairways here. A lot of plotting target positional golf, like right here off the tee here. You kind of want to just get your ball to about the fat part of the fairway here with a lesson driver or a 3-wood. Sets up kind of a short iron to some of these, a small green, protected light bunker anchored away from the fairway. So it kind of, makes you promote hitting the correct side of the fairway. You might have like a random hula hoop size bunker that's inconvenient. stuff like that. And that's, kind of what Moses Golf Course is, a lot of water on it too. But a couple holes I want to show you to really drive home that this is basically a TPC Sawgrass clone here is, where's hole number 9? Okay. So the 9th hole here looks exactly like a hole at TPC Sawgrass. This is basically the 5th hole at Sawgrass here. Both holes are, mid-length par 4s. Both of them have this elongated bunker right here with water over here. The primary difference is that there's also water hazard at Sawgrass over here. Both of them are slight dog-leg rights, so the green angled away from the fairway, protected by bunkers here. This is essentially a template of a hole already at Sawgrass. We can also move over to the 12th hole right here. This looks almost exactly like the 10th hole at Sawgrass. So the 10th hole at Sawgrass, you have some bunkers over here, and you have the woods over here, and a lot of space to bail out to the right here. And, it's kind of like a sharp dog like left here with the greens over here. The difference is the bunkers are flipped over here, but this is essentially the same hole as the 10th at Sawgrass. There's also one that looks exactly like a hole at TPC River Highlands. Let me find that one. I think that's actually on this one right here. So the par 5 5th. This is one where you basically have to contend with 2 water hazards on the same hole. So at TPC River Highlands, I think it's the 13th hole. Off the tee, this water hazard's over here. And then you have another water hazard guarding the green over to the left here. This is basically a mirror image of that. The water hazard that you have to avoid off the tee here. This water hazard is now on the other side of the fairway there. So, you can see, Pete Dye has, his signature trademark, thumbprint on holes. Sometimes you can see a lot of that here, this one. But I mean, the biggest copycat of them all with the stadium course here is the 17th. Obviously the 17th at TPC Sawgrass. That is one of the most famous holes in golf with the island green. And sure enough, you have an island green here. Basically a mirror image of the 17th at Sawgrass. The difference is this bunker over on the left, at Sawgrass is over on the right here, but a shortish iron to an island green. There's rock outcroppings here. That's a big difference between that and Sawgrass is just railroad ties. But again, they essentially wanted to make this place the TPC Sawgrass of the West. And, look, like it definitely has its similarities. Obviously, I showed a couple holes that look exactly like it, but, it's not the real thing. It's definitely been softened and muted over the years too. It just isn't, it plays a lot easier than this place. This is one where you can kind of bomb it everywhere, where you can't really do that at Sawgrass. There's a lot more hazards and place you can get in trouble at Sawgrass versus this place where, especially after they did a large tree removal project over the last couple of years. And really the only thing to dissuade you from, bombing everywhere here is you might have these mogul mounds where you might have a little bit of an uneven line. Otherwise, though, and we'll talk about this with the agronomy. So when they play this tournament, this is overseeded. You'll have a small patch of 1-inch ryegrass rough here. And then all this, because it's the colder months, is dormant Bermuda. And it makes hitting the ball really easy, hitting off of it. And we'll talk about a little bit how this tournament's kind of changed since they had a lot of this tree removal. It changed a lot last year. But, so that's, a lot of times I've fallen into the trap of saying, oh, well, this is a TPC Sawgrass clone. I want to see Sawgrass guys. And it hasn't really worked out a whole lot, and vice versa. I might look at this term and say, okay, you must be good for the players. And it's not. Hello, Patrick Cantlay. How are you? You're always good here and you're never good at Sawgrass. But, this is the quote unquote toughest of the rotation. But as I'll show you what happened last year, it isn't that. Across the street here, you have the Nicklaus Tournament Course. This was built in 1987 by, sure enough, Jack Nicklaus. And, this does try and offer similar stuff as what the stadium course does, but it's kind of just a watered down version of it. A lot of holes are just really linear, straight on front of you. Like, for example, the second right here, whereas at the stadium course, you'd have, like the green sharply angled out this way, protected by a bunker, maybe some bottleneck in the fairways here. This is all just right in front of you. You can basically just hit driver straight away here. As long as you avoid the bunkers here, you're pretty much fine. And a lot of holes are like that. At the end of the day, this is a resort. So, you don't want to make it too tough for anybody coming here, but it doesn't have a whole lot of character and flair. It also is funny that in order to get to to get from 11 here, you have to cross a 4-lane highway to get to the 12th green. Yeah, hopefully there's not a lot of accidents that go around there. And then it just winds through developments and houses. And, this hole right here, this is a really bad hole. No one goes for it in 2 just because it's such a long carry over this water. And there's nowhere to miss. Unless you want to bail out on this bunker here. Everyone usually, either bails out on the bunker or they lay up down here and they set a wedge in. The hole looks challenging and, intimidating, especially if you're an amateur, but, these guys kind of eat this place up. There's not really a whole lot to say. We'll talk a little bit about the predictive skill sets and what works here a little later on with the Nicklaus tournament, but it's kind of just a plain Jane golf course. This is usually the second easiest of the 3. You kind of probably can see why. It's just everything's right in front of you. It's not overly long. Has the same, overseeded greens as the stadium course, which makes you play a little softer. That's the Nicklaus tournament course right there. And then we have La Quinta, which is the oldest of the 3 courses in this rotation. You can see all the golf courses at PGA West right now. You got the Palmer course, you got the Weiskopf course. Yeah, there's a lot of golf courses. All right, so this is La Quinta right here. And this was built, I think, in 1959. It's received a couple renovations since then. And, it's a charming country club. Apparently the greens roll really good there. It's always in really good condition. It's nice to have it kind of like one of these smaller country clubs in the area. But this is a golf course that these guys just routinely pummel and just completely overpower. Like, for example, you can hit driver pretty much anywhere here. There's not, there are a couple water hazards, but most of them are out of play. Like, for example, on the 8th green right here, most guys can carry it over this bunker here and take this water out of play. It's very straightforward, very linear. It's a little tight, but it reminds me a lot of just like Silverado, where you can hit driver without really a whole lot of penalty everywhere. And it's really short. The greens are small, but guys routinely light this place up too. So there's not really a whole lot to it. There's no strokes gained at this place. You kind of just look at the scorecard and say, oh, this guy went sets, 65 there and lost strokes to the field. Sometimes that never happens. Usually if you shoot like shoot 69, a 3 under, you might lose strokes to the field. Actually, that's how many birdies are usually at this place. But, it's a nice golf course. Should it be in the rotation? So probably not. I think they probably should just cut the crap and just have all 4 courses at the stadium course. Maybe they'll do that once, if this thing ever gets a signature event status. I know they did the Pebble. They're going to kick Monterey Peninsula to the curb and they get rid of the Pro-Am format. Maybe they'll do the same for this. This golf course probably should not host a PGA Tour event the PGA Tour guys. Anyway. It should not be part of the rotation, but it is still, and they'll just end up lighting it up. So those are the golf courses. And then why don't we take another break and we'll start talking about the tournament, who's won here, and generally how it goes. All right. So let's talk about Cut. So Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US based and legal in 40 states. Peer-to-peer sports betting is a new and better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, that's dangerous, pop culture, and other events with verifiable outcomes and tons of fun social features to give it the feel of a betting social networks. Cut offers lower vig and fully customizable odds to create your own bets, and Cut handles the payment side of things so you never have to chase down anyone for money. It's got social features like group chats and betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, so you can really thumb in somebody if you just completely own them on this platform, user profiles, fan groups, and more. And it's got rewards too. You get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. So a reminder that Cut is the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's US based and legal in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% bonus. And let's also talk about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. You get NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, and college football, even golf as well. We always do a couple Underdog Fantasy picks for golf before the tournament. So simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. All right. Let's go to the GCSAA tournament fact sheet. Obviously, I love using this. This is a great summary of especially agronomy. If you ever have a question about that, it's a good one to use. So let's first start with the stadium course. 2 rounds there. Like I mentioned, Pete Dye design in 1986. This is a par 72, 7,187 yards. I think this is the longest of the 3. Not overly long, though. It's still a just under 7,200 yards. The par 72, very short. When you have 4 par 5s of that. Average green size, 5,000 square feet. That's pretty standard for a Pete Dye golf course. Usually those are pretty small, and they play a lot smaller based on some shelving and some undulation to the golf course too. With a lot of target golf, you have to play at a Pete Dye design. There's 160 acres of rough, but like I mentioned, we'll talk about with the turf grass in a little bit. Some of it's overseeded, some of it's dormants. Doesn't really matter this week. Water's in play on 7 holes. That's pretty standard for a Pete Dye golf course. Can be a little penal off the tee if you spray it the wrong area. All right, so let's talk about the turf grass. This is important because up until a couple of years ago, people really screwed this up. So it doesn't list it here, but when I say overseeded, what I mean is this is a Bermuda-based golf course, but during colder months, Bermuda tends to go dormant. It needs higher soil temperatures in order to grow and flourish. And it had that popping green like you see every weekend, like Wyndham or, a couple other Wiley. You need warmer temperatures in order to make it grow and be healthy. Well, in the desert, where in January, where temperatures plummet to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, I think you need soil temperatures consistently about 70 to 75 degrees in order to make it really flourish. It goes dormant. It turns brown. Now, some golf courses, just let it go dormant. Others just overseed the shit out of it in order to make it emerald green. What I mean by overseed, what you do is you basically plant on top of, well, first of all, you spray a chemical to either, kill off any remaining Bermuda that hasn't gone dormant or just, prevent it from popping up in case soil temperatures do get a little warmer. And then over the top of it, you put down a northern strain of grass that is more tolerable to cooler climates. And that's what the POA overseed is. This is POA trivialis. Careful not to confuse that with POA anna. There is, I think, over 1,000 different species of POA. POA anna is more West Coast. That's your bumpy putting surfaces. This is POA trivialis. It's a weed that, Boston Capper has joined in. And I have to actually put on my headphones now in order so I can hear him. Do you want to join the chat?
What's up, buddy? What's up, man?
Hey, bud. I'm just talking about weed, man. I'm talking about weed.
How's it? Huh?
I'm talking about weed.
No, weed. Oh, you're talking about weed? Why?
I'm talking about the overseed, the sticky icky.
Oh.
How we actually changed how people thought about this stuff. Remember that? True. It is. It is. Yeah. So I'm just explaining to everybody what
it's a good field this week. I was surprised.
Yeah. It is a good field. You got Scotty Scheffler, Xander. Cantlay's probably going to win because this is a soft golf course with a lot of birdies. So there you go. So this, like I was explaining, those is the overseed where you basically spray a chemical across the Bermuda or it just goes dormant. You put this overseeded POA trivialis on top of it. It makes it green. It makes it healthy. That's what makes the oh fuck. It's my internet crapping out because you showed up.
No.
Oh, all right, we're fine. All right, so every golf course here in this rotation has this overseed. There's a little subtle differences between all of them. So at PJ West, the stadium course, and La Quinta, that's Tri-Dwarf Bermuda, but it has the overseed on top. Those are also smaller greens. At Nicholas Tournament's Tiff Eagle, again, that's overseeded, though. There was some question when they replaced the Tri-Dwarf with Tiff Eagle a couple of years ago. at Nicholas, whether they would just leave it Bermuda. Apparently, they just overseed all of it. The entire golf course is overseed except for the rough. And that's where, if you turn into this tournament, that's where you can see, the brown dormant Bermuda way off the fairway there. There's a little patch of overseed rough, to make it look a little greener. But so that is only 1 inch in length. And then the dormant Bermuda is usually 2, but because it's dormant, it's not the same. The ball doesn't sink down to the bottom there. So the rough is not very penal here. And the same can be said about the Nicholas tournament course too. So that is a par 72, 7,147 yards, average green size, 7,000 square feet. So a lot bigger than the greens at La Quinta and the stadium course. Again, you got the POA overseed over the top there and make it look green. The same thing with the fairways. The rough, though, they do not overseed that. That is all just either dorm Bermuda, or if it is warm enough, you might see some Bermuda patches out there. We've seen that a couple times over the last few years, but usually it's the brown dorm Bermuda, only 2 inches, not penal. It's very little difference between your score on a hole, which we'll get to in a little bit, from hitting from the fairway, hitting from the rough. It just isn't really a whole lot of adversity to that rough. And then La Quinta. This is 7,060 yards, par 72. Average green size, just 4,773 square feet. Very precise, GCSA. Thank you for that. Technically, 7 holes have water in it, but as I showed you a little bit, a lot of them can be just carried with a driver and not really in play. This one has a POA Trivialis and Rye overseed everywhere, though. They don't have a dorm Bermuda. It is green throughout, but the rough is only 1 3/4 inches. So not penal. It's basically just kind of blasted everywhere. Set yourself out for birdies. So let's talk about the last couple tournaments. So I want to quiz you, Boston Capper. I love doing this. Okay. Can you name the winners of this event the last couple of years? So who won last year?
I don't remember at all, other than isn't last year when John called it a fucking shitty putting contest?
He did, and he's right. That's what it kind of turned into. But he ended up winning.
Oh yeah, he did win, didn't he?
Yeah, he beat Davis Thompson after Davis almost made a bomb on 17, but he let the pin in and it hit the stick and bounced out.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and then Davis Thompson went into a funk for about 5 straight months after that, saying, "Hey,
sounds about right."
Yep. All right. Who won in 2022?
Bro, I have no idea. You know I'm terrible with this.
Hudson Swafford at 220 to 1.
Swat Daddy.
Yeah. Second win there. I think he beat Lee Hodges and some other scrub.
Hasn't Ron won the thing twice too?
Well, I'll get to it. 2021. Who won that?
Dude, just tell me.
It's near and dear to our heart, man. Siwa won.
Who did we have? Who was it? Oh, that's right.
I got
my memory was shit. My memory was shit before the heart attack. After the heart attack, it's just even worse. So
all right, fine. 2021. Siwoo Kim went off at 55 to 1. We got him at 70 though.
Yes,
so that was fun.
Did.
And then a couple long shots. I've got 2020. Andrew Landry beat Abe Answer and Scotty Scheffler 200 to 1. Gross. And 2019, Adam Long 300 to 1 beat Phil Mickelson. Yep. So lots of long shots here. And we'll get to a little bit of the reasons why a lot of long shots usually do well here. But let's start with 2020. And I may mention before that the stadium course is the quote unquote hardest, and the other two are pretty easy. So in 2020, the average score at the stadium course was minus 1.6. Other two were upper 2s under par. So basically, if you shot 69 at either golf course, you barely are beating the field essentially. Those couple of years. And then the same can be said the next couple of years. In 2021, during the COVID year, they only played stadium in Nicholas. That year, for whatever reason, I think the weather was kind of cold and windy. So for whatever reason, the scoring was a little tougher at Nicholas. But 2022 got back to normal. Again, minus 1.5 at stadium course, minus 1 points, a little hard or a little easier at Nicholas, and then minus 2 at La Quinta. But then last year, though, to my surprise, every course played incredibly easy. Yeah. So La Quinta was actually the toughest last year at an average score of 69.58, so minus 2.4. Next was the stadium course at minus 2.7, which is almost a stroke easier
than
than a couple of years before that. And then the Nicklaus Tournament course played at minus 3.3. I'm struggling to remember why exactly it played so much easier. I know last year they had that atmospheric river, and I'm wondering
that was it.
But it's the desert though. Like they never get rain there. So I don't know if they got rain before that and just played softer. What I do know is, I mean, the most vexing, like Nicklaus Tournament course and La Quinta playing easy, that's no surprise. That always happens. At the stadium course, though, a full stroke easier. The only real change they made was they removed a bunch of trees. And essentially what that did was it deterred pretty much any adversity just bombing it everywhere. And because the rough isn't very penal at all, you know, they go into the rough. You might have to contend with a mogul mound, but without any of the trees or bushes or anything outside the fairways, and you got rough that you basically make great contact to, it was just bombs away. And I think that's what generally happened last year. And when we'll get to just what type of approach shots you're hitting, you hit a lot of short irons at that point. So lots of drivers that you can basically blast anywhere, lots of short irons into, you know, overseeded greens that tend to be kind of soft. It turns into the piece of shit putting contest that John Rahm essentially alluded to. So especially with this overseeded stuff too, like I know, you know, John Rahm said that the greens rule really good on this stuff. It rules a lot differently than on Bermuda. You don't have to worry about green. Adam Hadwin, that's the guy he lives in Scottsdale and he plays a lot in the overseas stuff. And he notoriously just hates putting on Bermuda, hates the grain, has never really figured it out, but he loves putting in overseas services because it takes a lot of the grain out. It's pretty similar to what he plays in Scottsdale. So like, for example, he had a 59 here, I think back when Adam Long won.
Yeah.
And then he's won Valspar. That's overseeded greens too, even though that's a Bermuda base. So there is something too a little bit about guys who maybe struggle on Bermuda, but when you get them down these overseas services, it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. They tend to like that. So do I think it's going to play as easy this year? I mean, I don't see why not. Right. I think the weather is going to be pretty calm and warm again. They were supposed to do another renovation to all the greens at the stadium course, but that got postponed 2024. So it's going to be the same greens as last year, same conditions. I would probably expect another quote unquote piece of shit burning contest again, like John Rahm says. Let's go to the course fit tool. This is always a tough one to let me get rid of the
data,
the bookmarks, by the way. Well, yeah. So this is the predictive skill set one, but it's tough because you have 3 golf courses and trying to basically marry all 3 predictive skill set charts for the entire tournament. So we'll start with the stadium course here. A higher correlation of guys who hit it pretty far off the tee, have a lot of length, lower correlation with accuracy. Maybe it's just because you kind of can bomb it a little bit all over the place at this tournament now.
Yeah.
Slightly lower correlation than the average PGA Tour stop with iron play, but it's still the most important attribute, the most predictive attribute. Putting can be kind of random. Maybe that's the overseed where, you know, kind of levels the playing field a little bit. A little higher correlation in, you know, guys are pretty good scramblers or not here. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention this in the article too. So like this used to be a golf course where it was actually fairly difficult off the tee and, you know, a little bit with your approach play, you know, so since 2015 off the tee, it ranks 21st hardest. This is just a stadium course. It ranks 21st hardest, but last year, because they removed all the trees, for whatever reason, it ranks as the 5th easiest off the tee.
Jesus.
And then, I'm sorry, it ranked 22nd out of 45 last year. So a little above average in ease, but with the approach play, it ranks as the 5th easiest, which when you remove basically any hazard for the most part, that's not water off the fairway, it just became target practice for these guys. So, but that's the predictive skill set chart for the stadium course here. Some golf courses they say it's similar to, like Cays Valley and Torrey Pines South and Olympia Fields North, Quail Hollow, Vedanta Vallarta, Corrales. I mean, that makes sense because most guys who tend to be a little longer at those places do a little better. And when you go to the Nicklaus Tournament course, it's pretty similar to PGA West here, or the same course. Again, a higher correlation of guys who are pretty, who tend to be a little longer, the only difference is like, seems to be a little guys who tend to be a little more accurate, do pretty well there and putt a little better, but that might be just a function of it's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward. Like pretty much any way we can do well there. So it's probably just, I don't know if there's really much useful information with that. And then La Quinta, this one is a little different. This one's a little more random as far as guys who are long or not can do well there, or accurate or not can do well there. Probably just a function of just the fact it's so easy. And the types of golf courses that DataGolf compares it to, it's similar to like Port Royal or like Craig Ranch or Silverado, like your really easy golf courses. So I don't usually these predictive skill set charts is something I like to lean on. I don't think they're really all that useful because I think this tournament just turned into such a birdie fest that it doesn't really matter at this point. And then why don't I take one more ad break and then we'll go over a couple other last minute things. So Hall of Fame bets, win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets' revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have values. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit HOFbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. Okay. I know this is kind of very heavy with the info. So well, I'll throw it to you. I've been doing a lot of time. Yeah. What do you like anything about this tournament?
No.
It's
one of these ones where I'm like frustrated immediately because my first round leaders are all chopped to hell. Even if they get offered. I hate not having data on the courses. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like I don't like any tournament 90% of the time. I can't think of one off the top of my head where they rotate courses that I like. I just want because it can be such an advantage based on like weather if that ever comes into play and things like that. And I don't think it's everybody's starting on the same level.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll get to it in a little bit, like just all three courses are really easy.
Yeah.
So like and it's important to remember too, that like all these guys are really good. Even the lowest ranked players on the PGA Tour, they can go out and shoot a 60, at any given moment. So, So kind of like with the predictive skill set charts like this, I always like looking at like, what during the tournament tends to separate you more. And last year there was a big jump with how your irons did. Like basically the better iron week you had, the better overall you did. Now this is just at the stadium course though. That's another tricky thing is we only have 2 rounds essentially to look at. I don't know what really separates you out at La Quinta or the Nicklaus Tournament course. So there's a little bit of guesswork there. And then the approach shot distribution chart. So this is again only the stadium course, but there really isn't a high proximity, like a concentrated bucket, like anything. Like last week at Wiley, everything was between like 125 and 200. Here, there's a little bit higher rate of shots on 125 yards, but still only makes up like 20% of your shots. There's a lot lower between 125 and 200, but that's the most number of shots you hit. There's, I guess, more shots over 250 than the average PGA Tour course, but it's probably because of the 4 par 5s. So it's not an easy tournament to handicap. This is probably why this is not one of my most successful ones, especially with positionals.
Yeah.
I hit Siwoo, but like there's just nothing really to go on. Like this is basically the Data Boys nightmare this week.
Yeah.
So I guess what am I just going to look for? Honestly, I don't think there's much of a penalty to blast it everywhere at this place. I think driving just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
At any of the golf courses. Around the green, it's one of the easiest on the PGA Tour. And it might be just because maybe you can putt a little bit more there. Maybe just because the green regulation rates getting a lot higher now. And it's not like where at Sawgrass, like really tricky greenside surrounds, these have been a lot more muted and watered down here. So now it's able to get up and down. There's also no rough really at all around the green. So really just, I think the bunkers might be, if you're in the wrong way, maybe a little difficult, but otherwise getting up and down is not much of a challenge here. For me, I'm just going to look at this. I'm just going to look at your scoring clubs. I'm going to probably favor better iron players, especially ones from under 175 yards, your shorter irons or so. And can you make a lot of birdies? And are you relatively decent putter?
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah.
That's really it. Like, I know I just spent 40 minutes to kind of boil it down like that, but I think the point of this was maybe just don't overcomplicate it this week.
Choose your adventure week.
Basically, like, this is going to be 25 under wins again. So
yeah,
it's just going to come down to basically who's the hottest putter and gives themselves the most opportunities to score. And
is Denny playing next week?
I don't know, but like, that's probably why like a guy like Patrick Cantlay always does well here, because just a lot of shorter irons and he's a good putter. Yeah. It's really, he just gives himself a lot of opportunities to score here. So that's really about it. Like, I got really nothing else. You got anything?
No, I mean, we got the Keegan sweat coming up.
You mean the Keegan funeral coming up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and come on, Cam's going to be fucking fired, right? Dude, you already go over this?
I did not go over this. Do you want to lay it out?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, lay it out for him. Cam, I hope you're listening.
He's not here, so I don't think he is. But
it's fine.
So all of us, the entire staff, unbeknownst, I think, to all of us,
right,
land on Keegan this week. Even Matt Gannon's on Keegan, and our producer is not on Keegan. He's on Ben On, who's a chaser. And if it happens to be that Ben On ends up winning, we might have some staff changes.
Not Mike. Cam is fired if Ben Ann wins and Keegan.
Oh, you're just going to lay it out directly. Okay.
He's fired. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Especially with he's dancing around the mush. He's getting as close as fucking humanly possible, and I don't even like that. It's fucking very annoying, and he knows what he's doing because he knows how much it triggers me.
Yeah. Anytime I think anytime just he even says the word in a text message, you just get immediately triggered. Sure. So, okay.
You got anything else you want to add for any of the games today? We're both on Dallas at 7. You taught me on the line 3. One underdog one yesterday, so I'm fine with that.
There you go. I ended up getting out of the Miami bet mid-game because I realized this is going horribly.
Yep.
I don't feel quite as good about Dallas as I did, I think, back on Thursday. I still feel pretty good with the Lions, though. There's a lot of smoke getting blown off the Rams' asses for tonight.
Oh, and every analyst on the NFL Network picked the Rams.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
You want to double down?
Yeah. I think Kramer retweeted that.
Okay. Yeah, I feel pretty. I feel pretty good with the Rams. Props. I don't know. I'll take a look after this.
All right. So I got Montgomery under 1.5 receptions. That's for tonight. And then I got Wicks over 2.5 receptions because Watson's testing out his hamstring. So
stop playing.
I mean, if anything, maybe he's just going to be a fucking decoy. Laporta over 30.5. I think that number's super low. I know he's bulky, but that's why we're getting the 30.5. So hopefully he's fucking healthy enough to catch a few balls. And then I found this one. I don't know if most books probably don't have this piece of shit, but Patrick Taylor under 9.5 rush yards.
That's really scraping the bottom of the barrel there.
It is. Love it, baby.
All right. Well, we'll be back on Tuesday for our betting show. Tomorrow you will hear Matt Gannon with the DFS show. Another jam-packed week of content at Golf Gambling Podcast. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple. Give us a review, by the way. I see a lot of reviews coming out for all the other shows. Give us a review. Give us a rating. We really appreciate it. It really helps with the numbers. So if you just take the time, if you just take the time, even if it's a negative comment, we always take some feedback. Some of us take it very, take it okay. Some of us don't, like you do sometimes. But leave us a review, rate us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast and Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, that's it. Talk to everybody on Tuesday. Let's go, Keegs.